In the early 2000s, nu metal had reached its pinnacle. It had gotten so big that even established metal bands who previously had nothing to do with it began experimenting with the subgenre. Bands like In Flames and even Slayer started imitating styles usually associated with nu metal's biggest acts, from Korn to Linkin Park. Not only had nu metal provided a novel take on metal in the 90s and 2000s by mixing downtuned guitars, groove, and hip-hop, but it had become a cultural phenomenon, attracting disenchanted youth across the world and driving a merchandising frenzy led by Hot Topic. And one of these nu metal bands that had been scaring parents and attracting kids with gigantic pants, spikes, and eyeliner was Cold Chamber, a band that many critics had written off as a Korn copycat. But still, they were one of the biggest and most popular bands in the genre. But then in 2002, just as nu metal had taken over the mainstream, Cold Chamber frontman Dez Fafara quit and flipped the script by starting groove-based death metal band DevilDriver, fully committing to what appeared to be a drastic makeover. By 2003, Fafara went from providing vocals in a band that sounded like this to sounding like this. So what explains this transition, and what, if anything, can we learn from it? Hi there, I'm Joe Meyer, and this is Heavy Academia, a platform for discussions about heavy music. And in this video, I want to discuss the pretty dramatic transformation that Dez Fafara took from nu metal heavyweights Cold Chamber to extreme metal band DevilDriver. Now, I have to be honest, in this video, I don't have many bigger questions or takeaways to explore. I just happen to think it's a pretty interesting story. But if there is anything we can learn from it, I'm posing the question of whether this story provides an example or model for how heavy music musicians can go on to make changes in style, look, and sound, and still find success without just trying to follow what's popular. Now, Cold Chamber's breakup and the start of DevilDriver came almost immediately after several popular nu metal bands released their biggest and most well-known albums, including Sinner by Drowning Pool, The Sickness by Disturbed, Slipknot's Iowa, and Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. And by that time, Cold Chamber were already pretty much nu metal veterans, having formed in LA in 1992 under the name She's in Pain, before adopting the name Cold Chamber in 1993. And even though the band have been criticized for some of their musical similarities to Korn, they did start playing around the same time and came out well before many of the other bands that nu metal is known for. And things moved pretty fast for Cold Chamber, including them signing to Roadrunner Records in 1995 and playing at Ozfest in 96, after which they were able to secure Sharon Osbourne as their manager. Also, their self-titled debut album, released in 1997, would go on to achieve gold status 2 years later. However, things would fall apart even faster than they worked in the band's favor. First, Cold Chamber split with Osbourne in 2000, which Fafara alleges was done behind his back, while tensions between band members even led to physical altercations between Fafara and founding guitarist Meigs Rascon on stage during the 2002 Jägermeister tour. In addition, tensions with bassist Raina Foss, a new mother at the time, led to her departure from the band, and a feud ensued between Fafara and her husband, Seven Dust drummer Morgan Rose, who performed the song Enemy as a stab at Fafara. And amidst all the drama and tension, the band would break up in 2002, after Dez had already formed DevilDriver in Santa Barbara, California. Now, while there's plenty of juicy drama, I'm not as interested in the nature of the breakup of Cold Chamber as I am in the new path that Fafara took. As one of nu metal's icons, he could have gone on to do something more radio-friendly by taking a cue from Corey Taylor, or he could have continued to play nu metal with a different band. But what seems to have pushed him towards playing for DevilDriver, a much less accessible type of metal band, was his musical taste. According to a 2003 interview, Fafara revealed that while he didn't get along with the other members of Cold Chamber, he actually left the band for musical reasons, saying that when it comes to his new band DevilDriver, you can't really call us anything because we're so influenced by black metal, death metal, thrash, I mean just everything, and people are going to be naysayers because I was in Cold Chamber. Cold Chamber did a different kind of music than not only what I like, but from where I wanted to go. Due to Fafara's connections and reputation as Cold Chamber frontman, DevilDriver were almost immediately written off by fans of extreme metal. But they were still able to find moderate success early on in their career, including a deal with Roadrunner Records and tours with Opeth, Hatebreed, and Ozfest, all in 2004. But while their self-titled debut was met with mixed reactions, their following albums were much more successful and more well-received as the band began to lock in their musical identity. But much of the band's positive reactions, beginning with their second album, were due to the addition of guitarist Mike Spreitzer in 2004, who brought a barrage of memorable riffs to the band that had been lacking in their debut album. Their second album, The Fury of Our Maker's Hand, was released in 2005 and offered a much more buttoned-up version of the direction the band wanted to go in. And one reviewer at the time of its release, published in Metal Review, wrote that any of Dez's vocal similarities to the days of yore have been stripped clean away. What we're left with then is primal, aggressive metal with elemental nods to its heaviest subgenres. The Fury of Our Maker's Hand and several of their subsequent albums charted on the Billboard, while the band would go on to make regular appearances at major metal festivals like Hellfest, Graspop Metal Meeting, and Ozfest. But DevilDriver never had any of their albums certified gold like Cold Chamber did, and they definitely weren't playing to the popular forms of heavy music at the time, with none of the mainstream success that new metal bands enjoyed. And they played a style of metal that was more closely related to established bands like Machine Head and Fear Factory, but also with a touch of melodic death metal a la Gothenburg. Now, the story by no means ends there, as DevilDriver had established themselves as a reliable extreme metal act. In 2011, Cold Chamber suddenly reunited and even put out a new album together, 2015's Rivals, which was pretty well received and charted on the Billboard 200. But the band's reunion was short-lived, and they broke up again a year later. And while the Cold Chamber reunion might seem to contradict the idea that Dez had put his nu metal past behind him, after their second breakup in 2016, he decided to play some of Cold Chamber's hits live with DevilDriver in a much more extreme groove metal style. And he'd say in an interview that, "We've already begun rehearsing 6 Cold Chamber songs with full production. I'm bringing the balls to the table. And once I do that, even putting on a bit of Cold Chamber for myself on stage, there's gonna be no going back. Because once people hear this, and we've had some of the people hear this at the rehearsal studios, and they all said the same thing. Oh dude, these songs by this band are the way these songs should have been done. They're not half-assed. They're fucking ferociously on point." But then, Cold Chamber would reunite once again in 2022, apparently because the members had all made up after Fafara had a near-death experience due to COVID. But while these Cold Chamber reunions might seem to be a case of you can take the singer out of the nu metal, but you can't take the nu metal out of the singer, and whether or not the Cold Chamber reunions were just about banking on nostalgia, Fafara never really did distance himself from his own songwriting in Cold Chamber, even after he started DevilDriver. Back in 2003, after he left Cold Chamber and fully committed to DevilDriver, he told an interviewer that, "I by no means want to ditch my past, but just to let people know why I made the change. I was always the one in the band that listened to really heavy music. I needed to follow a different path. Cold Chamber is what made me. I give them respect for what they've done, but as people, we just didn't get along. It was time to go." Now, at this point, it's a bit unclear what the future holds for DevilDriver. While they're still active, unfortunately, Mike Spreitzer quit the band in 2024, citing prolonged hiatuses and a wish to be a full-time musician as the main reasons for leaving. Meanwhile, Dez has continued to tour with a reunited Cold Chamber. But the fact of the matter is that in the early 2000s, Fafara did something pretty unexpected, since musicians typically leave more underground bands and styles of music for radio-friendly or more popular ones, not the other way around. So what is the point of all of this? It might be nothing. This whole story might be pointless unless you're a fan of either Cold Chamber or DevilDriver. But I'm curious what you think. Does this story provide an example for how musicians changing bands or styles of music can still be successful without just trying to do what's popular and by actually playing what they really want to? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Heavy Academia.